A puppy was thrown out of a hot air balloon. People's eyes are wide open. The parachute opens successfully. The crowd starts to applaud. The puppy has landed safely. The puppy should be glad he didn't have to go on this dangerous journey. Jones is a brave and experienced balloon pilot. James is a young scientist. The two men embark on an adventurous journey. They will not only set a record for human flight, they would also pioneer the earliest weather forecasting technology. 9 minutes later, the balloon has reached an altitude of 1,500 meters. James began recording the first data. He sends the data back to the ground by carrier pigeon. As the altitude continues to rise, the balloon enters a cloud, and they're about to undergo their first dangerous test. A few flashes of lightning streak across the sky. James records the crucial data. The balloon has lost its way in the storm. The two men cling to the ropes. After a violent shudder, James falls back into the basket. Jones almost fell. James tied the rope around his waist. James holds onto Jones' hand. James pulled Jones back into the basket. The valves were flouncing. Jones had to climb up the balloon and open the valves manually. Her hands are frostbitten. Jones tied a safety harness around herself, and then she continues to climb. Finally, she reaches the top of the balloon. Jones tries to kick the valve open. The valve closes quickly. Jones had to jam his shoe against the valve. The balloon is now 12,000 meters high. Jones is passed out from lack of oxygen. Jones' body began to slide. Luckily, she had a safety harness on her. Jones is hanging in the air. James is passed out. Jones is on her own. She is trying to swing her body as far as she can so that she could get closer to the basket. After many attempts, Jones finally grabbed hold of the basket. She jumped into the basket with every ounce of strength she had. Jones kept calling out for James. James was alive. He finally opened his eyes. James looks at Jones' hands. Jones' hands were badly frostbitten. James took out the medicine from the chest. Unfortunately, it's all gone, but the good news is that the balloon is starting to come down. They'll soon be back on the ground. The falling snowflakes were suddenly forbidden to move. The experienced Jones realized the balloons were descending at breakneck speed. If they landed at this speed, they would be crushed to pieces. They tried to close the valve. The valve came off completely. To reduce the weight, they threw away the debris in the basket, but that didn't reduce the speed of the balloon's descent. They had to throw their clothes down too. The balloon was getting closer to the ground. The basket was the biggest weight. They cut the rope of the basket. The basket was thrown down. The balloon was still falling fast. Just when Jones decided to jump, James had a bright idea. Cut the rope of the inner ring. The balloon would turn into a parachute. James quickly cut the rope of the inner ring. The speed of the descent was finally controlled. They hit a tree. James fell. Jones was dragged by the balloon for hundreds of meters and then stopped. When Jones opened her eyes, she called out James' name. James crawled out of the bushes. The two landed safely.